Parkinson's has become the second most common neurodegenerative disease in Singapore. Parkinson's disease is a progressive neurological disorder associated with the loss of dopamine-generating cells in the brain that results in a complex array of symptoms, but is primarily associated with progressive loss of motor control, as this interferes with motor transmission signals. Over time, it results in trembling in the hands, arms, legs, and face, stiffness of the limbs and body, slow movement, and poor balance and coordination. Patients in severe cases have difficulty swallowing, chewing, and speaking, and may also have urinary problems, constipation, and disrupted sleep. In Singapore, there is estimated to be 6,000 to 8,000 people with Parkinson's, and the population with Parkinson's here is expected to increase steadily as the population ages. According to Professor Louis Tan of the National Neuroscience Institute, most patients are over 60 years old, but it can affect those as young as 40. Medication can help keep Parkinson's at bay for the first 4 to 5 years, but afterwards, the symptoms will progress very rapidly. Among those who had Parkinson's in Singapore are our late founding father, Mr. Lee Kuan Yew. To understand the struggles of the people with Parkinson's, we have interviewed them as well as received letters from caregivers whose names shall not be mentioned for confidentiality purposes.
您怎么知道自己得了帕金森病？
在2016年的时候，我发现我左边的肢体比较僵硬，我就去检查，检查报告出来，果然印证我是帕金森病患。但是我一点也不惊讶，因为我对这个病症也稍有认识。
您得到帕金森之后，有没有得到家人和朋友的支持和协助？
我很开心，他们都了解我的病状，尤其是我家人及兄弟姐妹，都给我了很大的支持。
你如何应对帕金森的多种症状？
为了应付这些症状，我尽量多运动、散步，甚至做能力做得到的事。
这些不同症状有没有影响您的日常生活？
那肯定有。打个比方，我要穿衣服的时候，就必须花多一点时间，吃东西也慢。
Not so much as that, because I think the puzzle mind aneurysm movements are a lot slower than before.
But you still talk to them and eye contact.
Yes, not so often.
So often.
Clearly, there is a need for social support and understanding in Singapore with regards to Parkinson's. Parkinson's Society Singapore, or the PSS, was formed on 16th of December 1996 by a group of doctors and caregivers to help people living with Parkinson's. The society was registered as a charity on 28th of January 2000 and is a member of the National Council of Social Services, NCSS. We have decided to talk to Mr. Siu Hong, the Centre Manager, to discuss the state of affairs of the Centre, as well as aid received by the people with Parkinson's and problems faced by them.
Are there any words of advice to people with Parkinson's who are not seeking help currently?
Yes, word of advice to them is that they have to continue with medication, they have to do exercises, even if they're not coming to the center for any form of activity. They should, at home, they should also continue exercises. In fact, Parkinson's Society has come up with DVDs, come up with PD exercise books, which we give away freely during our events like our Move to Beat. And these books help them, these books and DVDs actually help them to do exercises at home. They could follow the activities, exercise that are in the book, that are on the video, so they can do this at home without having to come here. But of course, coming to the center has its advantage, because when they do exercise together, they can make friends, they can do sharing, and they can have their own support groups as well. So of course, coming to the center is a great help, but nevertheless, if they are not coming here, some of them don't like to come out of their house, they should also exercise and have their medication at home.
What were the choice of activities and why?
The type of activities we introduce in Parkinson's Society has to do with the capability of our Parkinson patients to handle. The activities that we want will actually help to make sure that the patients can exercise their hands and feet to prevent them from falling. All these activities were chosen mostly to make sure that they are suitable for the Parkinson patients. And we have different types of Parkinson patients. Some of them actually need to be on wheelchairs. So the activities that we chose, we also hope that patients are able to, those people on wheelchairs are able to partake in activities as well. So you're asking what kind of activities. We would say that activities that are suitable for exercising hands, prevent them, to strengthen their muscles, to improve their dexterity, just like calligraphy, and physiotherapy is our core, and those actually helps all the total maintenance of the body. So yes, the choice of activities is important for our Parkinson patients, and we make sure that these are tailored to their needs.
The instructors working with Parkinson's Society Singapore have extensive experiences with people with Parkinson's and would be knowledgeable about how physical activity and calligraphy can motivate them and improve their condition. Here are the instructors from the PSS whom will share their valuable insights with us.
你教这一班和教别的没有帕金森的学员有没有很大的区别？
区别在某个程度是有的。对一些成员来说，因为他们的身体个别的状况，如何能稳的拿毛笔，而以正确的姿势进行书写，对他们来讲都是一个挑战。我很开心见到他们凭着这个他们的自己的意志力，逐渐克服了一些的困难，跟我们一起分享这个书法的乐趣。由于大家的兴趣跟能力不同，我尽量在这个教学方面进度方面呢，做出适当的调整，和他们一起配合。
成员上书法课时有怎样的态度？
基本上他们的态度很好，很积极，他们显得更有兴趣，更有信心，更有耐力，在学习方面呢也有很稳健的这个进展。当然我希望他们能够更投入、更专心，私下呢更用功练习。
Do you think the people with Parkinson's are of much difference compared to other classes that you teach?
Yes, because of their condition. So it is a very challenging task to teach them. I have to change my teaching methods. I have to go very slow, step by step, teaching them form to learn.
Are there any improvements that you have noticed from the people with Parkinson's?
Yes, for them who come regularly for classes, I noticed that comparing to the first day, they had a great improvement in terms of flexibility of the joints, balancing and strengthening of their muscle.
What happens when patients suddenly experience some symptoms of Parkinson's?
Safety is very important in an exercise class. I would encourage him to just take a break, and I observe him at a distance.
Besides the activities by PSS instructors, our team from Project Novo has also organized some activities for the people with Parkinson's, namely the Enliven sessions where we brought them on the Sentosa Nature Trail. But what really lies ahead for Parkinson's, and when can we finally get rid of the disease? Prof. Louis Tan from the NNI has done extensive research in the field of Parkinson's and more recently stem cell research. and he has helped simplify the current status in Parkinson's, as well as eliminate some misconceptions of the public with regards to the people with Parkinson's.
Well, sometimes when patients with Parkinson's, they are expressionless, they look very flat, they are quiet, people think that, they are depressed or they don't want to talk or they cannot talk. So that's one of the misconceptions, that we should engage people with Parkinson's even though they look like that, but internally the mind can be very active. It's just an external facade or external face that they have because of the disease. The other misconception is that, sometimes patients will freeze, they suddenly cannot move or get stuck because of the wearing off of the effects of the medication. And this is really not because of the patient, it's because sometimes the medications work for a few hours and then they wear off. And we need to continue to, some people think that the patients are bluffing or faking because they cannot move, and the next moment they can move, and then sometimes they can move very well, sometimes they can't move. So the family members and the public need to understand that sometimes there is a wearing off effect, there's some variability in the ability because of the medications and how the medications sometimes wear off and affects their movement. So they are not really faking it, or they're not pretending. This is a real problem that they face because of the medication long-term effects. There is actually a lot of promise and hope for Parkinson's because it is really only a particular group of nerve cells that are degenerating, and this is the dopamine, mainly the dopamine nerve cells. So if we can replace or we can prevent it from deteriorating, then there's lots of hope for Parkinson's patients. So we are researching very much in what we call neuroprotection to protect the brain, preventing it from deteriorating, or we are also looking at neurorestoration to try and restore it, giving medication or factors to increase the growth of the nerve cells or to add new nerve cells, and with stem cell technology and all the research that's going on, there is a lot of hope and potential that we can actually regenerate the brain. So because of that, I think there's a lot of excitement in the field, other than new medications, new methods to track the disease, new devices that people are inventing. I think there's lots of hope for Parkinson's, and we expect a lot of advances that will come in the years or decade ahead.
There are so many factors going into the well-being of people with Parkinson's. And until we find a cure, efforts to slow down and mitigate symptoms remain the second best bet. We hope you have enjoyed our documentary and are able to empathize more with people with Parkinson's and have a better view of how the medical industry is working to find a cure for Parkinson's. Thank you.